This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, good morning. Welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime. I want to dedicate this year for the Atzlach of Ben Zion Mendoza, Vayetze Hashem, him and his family should see open and revealed Siyata Dishmaya. And everyone here should see open, revealed Siyata Dishmaya to all, Vayetze Hashem, at all times. Vayivga b'makom vayalin sham. Yaakov Avinu goes to sleep. Finally, the 14 years. Vayikach me'avnei hamakom. He takes from the stones. How many stones? 12. You were there, you counted them? It says avnei, stones. It doesn't say how many. 5. Keneged chamisha chum sheter? You're saying 12. Any other opinions? 3. Why 3? Bereshis Rabbah, Parasha Samech Ches, Ois Yud Aleph. 3 opinions. Rabbanan say 2. Simple to understand. The word says Avnei Hamakom, plural. Miut Rabim, Shnai. Avanim, when we say Avanim, we don't say a number attached to it. It must be 2. Rabbanan explain themselves. Yaakov Avinu said, from my father, Yitzchak came out of Esav, split in 2 ways, good and bad. From my grandfather, Avraham, same problem, Ishmael and Yitzchak. If these 2 stones will join, then I'll know. But by me, Baruch Hashem, 12 tribes, everybody will be on one path. 2 stones. 2 other opinions in the Medrash, Reb Nechemia and Reb Yehuda. Reb Nechemia says 3 stones. 3, where'd you get 3 from? Says Yaakov Avinu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was meyached his name, Avraham Avinu. Eloikei Avraham. He did the same for Yitzchak. If these 3 stones will join, so I'll know that I'm also part of the Avos. Eloikei Avraham, Eloikei Yitzchak, Eloikei Yaakov. If these 3, that's the sign that he made for himself. 3. Comes Reb Yehuda, and that's, I think, the more known opinion. And he says, no, he took 12 stones. Why 12? There's supposed to be 12 tribes in Am Yisrael. If these 12 stones will join, so I'll know mitasi shleima. I'll know my kids will be those who form the nation Klal Yisrael. Comes the basket of peppers. Basket of peppers. Basket of Salad de Pilpele. That's the name of a sefer, brand wine. Salad de Pilpele, basket of peppers. And he asked me, wait a second. I understand Rabbanon very well. Avanim, miut rabim, shnayim. Avnei hamakom, it means 2. But what caused Reb Nechemia and Reb Yehuda to say, no, I understand what they're saying. It corresponds to different things. 3 and 12, fine. But literally, and we have a rule, and mikra yoytze mikidei pshutoy. The literal meaning of the words, if you don't have a number attached to the stones, it must be 2. So what caused them to say, no, it's 3? No, it's 12. The basket of peppers says the following, Mamash Givaldik calculation. Why did he take these stones? Just before that it says, Reb Levi, that he wanted to have a bed. He's going to sleep tonight, finally, after 14 years. What's the size of a person? 3 amos. Sukkah daf zayin amud beis. What's the width of a person? Gavra be'amasa yasiv. 1 amma. How many tfachim? Ba'abasa daf yud aleph. We can learn that an amma is 6 tfachim. So the width of a person is an amma. That means the width is 6 tfachim. The length, we need 3 amos. 3 times 6, 18 tfachim. 18 times 6, 108. We need 108 tfachim, square tfachim, to have this bed for Yaakov Avinu. Gevaldik. The beginning of Baba Basra in the Mishnah we learned that an even is 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim. That's the case. You need a 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim, and another 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim, and another 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim to have 18 by 6. So Ibn Nechemia says, of course he took 3 stones, because he told me he formed a bed. The only way he can do that is with 3 stones. So how come Yehuda says, no, he took 12 stones? This is Mamish Meredik. Where are these stones from? What does the Medrash say? No glasses? You should only see great things, amazing things, positive things in Mitzvah Hashem with these glasses. The Medrash says in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, Perek Lamed Hey, these stones were actually taken from the Mizbeach that Yaakov, 3 weeks ago, in the Akedah Yitzchak. This is from the Mizbeach that Yaakov Avinu was on. Yitzchak Avinu. I say Yaakov. This is from the Mizbeach from Akedah Yitzchak. Great. Tana Devei Eliyahu Zuta, that's the story that we learned from Eliyahu now in Perek Beis, says that the Mizbeach in Har HaMoriah was made from the afar, the dirt of Adam HaRishon. Where's Adam HaRishon's body from?
Afar.
Everybody's body is from afar. Where is his afar taken from? Sanhedrin Lamed Ches, Bavel. The Gemara describes exactly what part, each part where it comes from. Sanhedrin Lamed Ches, we learn the afar, the dirt of Adam HaRishon comes from Bavel. So what does that mean about the Mizbeach? The stones from the Mizbeach Yaakov took, where are they from? From Bavel. The stones are made from Adam HaRishon's dirt. His dirt is made out of Bavel's dirt. Great. Rashi, Parashas Noach, Perek Yud Aleph, Pasuk Gimel, and the Pasuk says, V'tehilem haleveina le'even. When they made the tower to rebel against the Kodesh Baruch Hu, they used bricks, not stones. Why don't you use stones? Normally, when you have a big construction, especially a big tower, you would like to use stones, but they didn't use stones. They used bricks. Why? V'tehilem haleveina, the brick became their stone. Why? Rashi says because this is in Bavel. There are no stones in Bavel because it's a valley. Rashi brings it from Medrash Rabbah. Normally in a mountainous place, a mountainous area, there are stones, not in a valley. So they used levanim, which means this mizbeach, this dirt, this stones of Yaakov. What are they made out of? It's actually bricks. There's no stones there. And Rashi and Shabbos Daf Zayin Amud Aleph says that the size of a brick is 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim. Oh. If a brick that he's using, Yaakov Avinu, is 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim, how many bricks do you need? Because his height is 3 amos and his width is 1 amma. Let's cut this 18 by 6 into 2 strips. 3, each levena has 3 tfachim. So you need 3 times 3, that's 9. Sorry, 3 times.
Sorry, each one's 3 by 3.
Yeah.
That's 9 squared tefachim.
Yeah.
Right, and you need 108 bricks space on.
So how many stones? 12! Comes the and says, of course he took 12 stones. A basket of peppers. Salad de pilpele. Gewaldig. What's that?
Do I stay in the class?
For the time being.
You say that Abraham Avinu was made of dirt from all over the world so that he can
The Gemara Sanhedrin Lamed Ches says, Adam HaRishon's dirt. Sheneemar, Mizbeach Adama, Vayetze Esa Adam min ha'Adama. Adama, Mizbeach Adama. It's the same. Mizbeach Adama. Gemara learns it came from Bavel.
So I have heard those stones, all the Shabbatim that were attached to those stones. That's why he went back to.
We said, according to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, that most people quote, it represents the 12 Shvatim, and he said, if they will join, then I'll know they're coming from me. Yaakov Avinu institutes Mariv. Vayifga b'makom, the Gemara Brachos Kavav, en pgia ele lashon tefila. Mariv, a complete obligation, a choiva, or reshut? Machloikes? What are you paskin? What are you paskin? Chiyuv. Really? What do we paskin? Don't be afraid. What do we paskin? Reshut. It's a type of reshut that we accepted on ourselves as an obligation, but it is reshut. Which means it's different than Shachris and Mincha. Comes the Zohar HaKodesh. Bereishis, Kuf Lamed Gimel. Asks the Zohar, wait a second. Avraham Avinu institutes Shachris for all generations. Yitzchak does the same with Mincha. Yaakov Avinu, who is called Bechir Ha'avois, the chosen one, his tefillah that he instituted is only a reshus. Why is that? It's true we accepted it as an obligation on ourselves, but lemaisa it's a reshus type of tefillah. Doesn't smell right. So I think last year or 2 years ago we brought an idea from the Mabit, in the time of Ms. Yosef in Tzfat, and the Mabit says, Yaakov Avinu institutes the tefillah of galus. It's nighttime. Nighttime always alludes to darkness, yisurim, afflictions, sorrows. Galus. Galus is up to us. We can end it today. When we do tshuva, it ends today. Memele is a type of a reshus because it's in our hands to decide. That's the mabit. Pnei Yeshua says differently. Over there in Bachus Chavav. Avraham Avinu got up in the morning. Vayashkem Avraham baboiker. He got up and he ran to institute for Klal Yisrael at tefillah for generations. Yitzchak, Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh. Yitzchak went out of his way to the field to institute this tefillah. Yaakov Avinu didn't do anything. Hachana. He passed by the makom that his forefathers davened. Sanhedrin Tzadi here. He said, "Oi, I just passed by this place that Yitzchak and Avraham daven. Maybe I should go back and daven." So he turned around and said, "I'm going to go back and daven." That's not a tefillah. That becomes an obligation for Klal Yisrael. Avraham and Yitzchak went out of their way to establish something for all of us. It stays with all of us. Yaakov Avinu is only, I don't want to say b'di'emet type of a thing, because he passed here. Okay, so I'm going to daven. The Pnei Yeshua. Mimele, it becomes only reshus and not achov. You see what happens when you have in mind to do something. Not, okay, if I'll be in that area. No. You see the level of, you get up in the morning and you do, and you create, you have in mind, I want to do something, the benefit can be for many, many generations to come. So we established, Mariv is reshus. Can it be that Mariv is choiva? Not an individual, to all of us. We took this reshus and we took it as an obligation upon ourselves. So Sunday, Monday, Shabbos, Chol HaMoed, we look at it and say, you're reshus, but I will take you upon myself as an obligation. Now I'm asking a new question. Can it be that there are times that it's a complete obligation? Not when you forgot daven mincha, because when you're doing the compensatory tefillah, you're davening mincha.
Maybe you have to daven Mariv so you could do it.
When is Mariv an obligation? Is Mariv ever an obligation?
When it's the,
You're saying yes? When?
Well, Shabbos, you could find that.
Why Leil Shabbos?
Say Kiddush in Mariv.
You're speaking like you told us Zev and Masechet Brachos. Or a Chiddush. He says, since on Leil Shabbos and Leil Yontif, you must say Kiddush in davening. Mimele, that davening becomes an obligation. Mor Uktzia, that's a Yavitz, says, Lekuli Alma, everybody agrees that every Leil Shabbos and every Leil Yontif, it's an obligation. The Shalom Meshiv explains why he says what he says. He brings the Mor Uktzia and he says, I'll tell you what he means. Every single night, Mariv corresponds to the Evarim and Pedarim that would be burnt on the Mizbeach the entire night. The limbs and the fatty portions of the Korban that would burn the entire night. But there's no specific time. At 8 p.m. you better burn them on the Mizbeach the entire night. So it doesn't have a keva. It doesn't have a permanency, a specific time. And therefore, Mariv also doesn't have keva. It's a reshus type of davening. But Friday night, Leil Yontif, those Evarim and Pedarim are not burned on the Mizbeach. Mimele, the obligation to daven Mariv and Leil Shabbos and Yontif is an independent obligation. It's an independent obligation. Has nothing to do with the Korbanos. Mimele, it becomes a complete choiva.
You bring it
Piliploim.
Friday afternoon before Shabbos? You have to put them on the...
But it's not, no, it's not. No, you don't. You don't. Leil Shabbos, you don't. Mimele has nothing to do with the very important of Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So therefore, it's an independent obligation, and there's no connection to the korban, which is a reshus, that type of the portion. Mimele, it's going to be a choiva. Others say for a different reason. An obligation. According to the Ra'ah, so showing him, Brachos, Chav Zayin, Mariv is an obligation even on Motzei Shabbos. Because Motzei Shabbos you have to say Choinen Hadas, you have a new obligation. Mimele, the Mariv itself becomes an obligation. Piliploim. The Machzik Brocha, the Chidah says in Orchaim Siman Reish Samiches that from the language of the Rambam, it seems that Mariv is always Rishus. But we have three opinions from Gedolei Yoilam. But some want to say that Mariv is the Oraisa. After everything we said, Mariv now we're going to Choiva Rishus. No, it's the Oraisa. How can that be? It's a technical thing. The Rambam in Hilchos Tefillah Perek Aleph Aloch Aleph says, one tefillah a day is deraisa. The day starts from the night. Mimele, once you daven Mariv, you just daven a tefillah deraisa, which is the chiddush. But it's hard to understand that. On one hand, you're saying it's a deoraisa, and the other, you're saying, yeah, but it's only rishus. How can that be? So we have to understand it based on Reb Chaim Brisk and Hilchos Tefillah, because he says, even according to the opinion that it's only a derabanan, when you are davening, you're doing a mitzvah deoraisa. So you don't have to daven, it's rishus. But when you get to it and you start davening, you're actually doing a mitzvah deoraisa. These both opinions can somehow coincide. But many, I think most, hold that the first tefillah of the day, that is deoraisa, is actually the morning. You get up, you start your day. We normally say shachis mincha mariv. You don't say mariv shachis mincha. The most hold that the first tefillah of the day, even though technically speaking the day starts from the night, is the tefillah after you woke up, and that will be a tefillah deoraisa once you davened it. Yaakov Avinu goes to sleep, he sees a ladder. Size of the ladder? What's the width of the ladder? One amma. 6 tefachim. Any other opinions in the crowd? Width of the ladder. What's that? If the Gemara discusses it, it makes a difference. The Gemara discusses it. What's that?
The malachim have to pass each other on the ladder. It has to be at least 2 malachim wide.
2 malachim. How many malachim here?
2 going up, 2 going down.
2 going, yeah, 4. Malachi Elokim oilim. 2 malachim go up. Oilim means miut rabim shnaim. And yordim, those who went down also at least 2. Miut rabim shnaim. The Gemara learns, Chulin, Daf Tzadi Aleph Amud Beis, there were 4 angels. So now you need to know the width of an angel, and you know exactly the size of a ladder. Anyone saw an angel lately?
Why would you say they're going at once? They went.
Because there will be one point, Oilim, Veyordim, there will be a point where they're, can you move a ladder? I don't have room. There will be a point, says the Gemara, that they will be together. So we need to know the width of the ladder. When was the last time you saw a malach? Come on, don't play humble. You see malachim all the time.
They don't have feet. I mean,
They have. Ragleihem regel yeshara. Pasuk in Yeshaya. They have one. They have springs. They also have wings. But right now they're not using the wings. Every time there's an elevator, you take the elevator, or sometimes you walk. Chulin. What's that? Chulin daf tzadi aleph amud beis. The Gemara says Gmirila. We have a Masoris. The Gemara uses a pasuk that the width of a malach is Tarshish. The in Tarshish ela to what? 2,000 what? 2,000 parsa. How many almost in one parsa? 8,000 in one parsa. We're talking 2 parsa per malach. If a malach is 2,000 parsa and you need 4 malachim wide, how many parsas is the width of this ladder? 8,000 parsa, the Gemara says, in Hebrew, in English, in our language, about 30,000 kilometers. About 14,500 miles, the width of the ladder. What's the size of the world, by the way? Circumference of the world?
24,000 miles.
About 40,000 kilometers, and here we're using 30,000. 3/4 of the world is the size of the ladder.
How many parses in an amma?
How many amma in a parsa?
How many ammas in a parse?
8,000. Pilleploim. How many rungs? We know the width. How many rungs? How many rungs in the ladder? Infinite. The Moreh Nevuchim, the Rambam doesn't think like you. He brings a Tanchuma. Rambam in Chelek Beis, in Moreh Nevuchim, Perek Yud, he brings Tanchuma that there were 4 rungs to this ladder. And some say 7. We don't have that in the Medrash. But Rambam says, some say there are 7 rungs. So we know the width, and we know the rungs, how many rungs. Next time you see this ladder, you hop on and have a nice journey.
So you say you didn't see the end, so only 4 rungs.
What do you mean? Why didn't he see? Do you know the distance between each of the rungs? We don't know.
Doesn't say the malach would have 70 steps and then.
If you have a source, I'll accept it. The Rambam doesn't know that source.
Years of
what's with the different numbers for 70 for Babel and...
That's what he's saying. I'm quoting to you the Rambam. Rambam brings Tanchuma. Chazal, Midrashim. 4 rungs, and some say 7 rungs. Since we talked about Malachim, in previous years we brought great chidushim, I think, about Malachim. Let's add a few more. Do Malachim have Bechira Chofshis? Do they have free choice, free will? No, Avadina. The Gemara says in Shabbos Peites, Moshe Rabbeinu argues with the Malachim. They wanted to receive the Torah. And Moshe says to them, excuse me, do you even know what kina is? Do you have jealousy? Do you have Yetzer Hara? What does this Torah have to do with you? The Torah straightens you. The Torah tells you how to fight your Yetzer Hara. What does that have to do with you? So it seems they don't have. But maybe they don't have kina and Yetzer Hara, but they do have bchira. Ooh, do they have bchira? Only 23 examples I'll give you. Only 23. What time is Shabbos? We have time. Let's see. The Malach, Or HaChaim HaKodesh, in Vayera says, the Malach did not say the good news to Sarah. He was supposed to. He said it to Avraham Avinu. Why don't you do what they told you to do? You were sent to tell Sarah. He didn't. The Malach first said to Sarah and not to Avraham. Me'am Lo is exactly the opposite. And Galei Razia. The Malachim said to Lot the mystery. In other words, the hidden plan of HaKadosh Baruch Hu regarding Sodom before they got permission to do this. They're using their Bchira Chofshis. There's some things that the Malachim do and they do not need permission from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who says such a thing? The Rambam. Moreh Nevuchim. The Malach called Mem Tetet. We don't want to say the whole name, so we say Matat for short. It's Mem Tetet and Reish and Vav and Nun. In Chagiga Daf Tesvav Amud Aleph, we read and we learn over there that he decided to sit in Shamayim. And no one is allowed to sit in Shamayim other than Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Medrash Rabban, Shemois, Perek Yudaled, Parashat Yudaled Ois Aleph says, the Malach added 3 days in the Makkah of darkness on his own. Was supposed to be much shorter. He said, you know what, we'll give him 3 more days. Malach Gavriel doesn't do what he is instructed. Yuma, Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, he's instructed, go get the fiery coals. Instead, he sends a kruv, one of the other messengers of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one of the other kruvim, v'chayos HaKodesh, all kinds of different type of malachim. He sent him instead, but they told you to do something, and because of that, by the time it came to him, it was already cooled off. He didn't do what he was instructed to. It was delayed. The Malachim says the Medrash HaGodol and Vayera, Yud Tes Chaf Aleph, have reshus to do whatever they want, and no one can stop them. Rabbeinu Bechai, Bereishis, Gimel, Pasuk Dalet, brings based on Medrash Tanchuma in Mishpatim. Malachim don't have a Yetzer Hara, and yet sometimes they deviate from what is right, and there are some angels that sin. Rabbeinu Bechai.
There is one, Raphael, but he went to
sinned?
to Avram.
He sinned?
He also went to...
He sinned?
Huh?
He sinned? You want to say he sinned?
Well, no, he did two avodas, which he wasn't supposed to.
Good. Then we'll see. The passage is Anoichi Sholeach Malach. I'll send an angel. Says the Medrash Tanchuma, that Malach that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe, I'll send in front of you, is from that group that do not sin. What does that imply? The other groups may sin, even though he's an angel. In Chagiga we learn that a Malach can add years of life to whomever he chooses. Imrei Shefer, Shlomo Klugen, Pashas Vayeshev, a Malach wanted to reveal to Yosef the not such a nice plan that his brothers had regarding him. That's why he said the word Dosaina. Where are they? Oh, they went to Dotaina. Why? He wanted to hint to him. You should know they're planning something. Michael and Gavriel needed to consult with each other. What exactly should we do to turn Sodom over? Which means it's not like a programmed robot. He comes with a plan, knows what he's doing, doesn't have to think. He's a machine. They had to consult. What do you think? What's the best way to do it? Tiferet Tzvi and the Zohar HaKodesh. A Malach can decide on his own to do 2 things. 2 shlichuyos. Moreh Nevuchim says a language, Malachim have bechira. Sometimes, Chagiga Daf Tezvav, the Malachim sin by saying Oimer Mutar. There's a concept called Oimer Mutar. You don't know if it's allowed or not. You say, no, it's allowed. It's a sin. Go find out.
Well, Rashi says that part over there that Malach only does one. So, I mean, he had Ruach HaKodesh.
He is sent to do one, and normally he listens. Apparently sometimes he doesn't. The passage is in the end of Bereshis. Vayinachem Hashem ki asa es Adam ba'aretz. Kodesh Baruch Hu was as if regretting. Vayisatze v'liboy. Rashi over there brings on the Medrash. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Baruch Hashem, we created man down there. Look, he's causing everybody to rebel, even the animals. That's why the animals have to be destroyed in the flood. Baruch Hashem, we kept him down there and not up here, because if he would have been up here, what would he cause? He would cause the angels to rebel. How can angels rebel if they don't have Bechira Chofshis? Meaning Adam Rishon could have come, people. Not Adam Rishon. People could come upstairs and they can convince the Malachim, so Kodesh Baruch Hu says, Baruch Hashem, we kept them down there. The language, or the formulation of Tefillah in Rosh Hashanah, we say, Hen lo yamin b'kedoishav, v'tahala yasim be'elei tarshishav. What is it? What does this mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't believe in his own Malachim, because sometimes they can do something wrong. It must be that they have Bechira Chofshis. If he doesn't believe in them, if it's just a programmed robot, why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu not believe in him? He's going to do exactly as he instructed. Apparently not. Mishnas Yitzchak and Bereshis, in the name of the Levush, the Koyach, and the Mazal of the Aretz, is from that group of Malachim that have Bechira Chofshis. There's certain groups. Toises and Chagiga, that you've given Amud Beis. Every single day, new Malachim are created, and they immediately look to the right, to the left. Whoa! And they say Shira. They're so impressive. Great light, the Shechina. And because of that, they're immediately consumed in fire. Because it's not the minhag here. New angels, don't you know? The minhag is we all come together. V'kara zeh el zeh ve'amar, and all together, let's say, Kodosh, Kodosh, Kodosh. What are you doing on your own? Every single day, new malachim are created, and they do something without their being programmed to do it, and because of that, they are consumed. It's clear that they have Bechira. The biggest Chiddush. Shuvas Baalei HaTosfos. Sometimes the malach upstairs makes a mistake, and when a woman is pregnant, he gives the baby inside a neshama of a goy. Later on, from that will come out a mumar. Sometimes the angel does the same, the reverse. He gives the goya, when she's pregnant, a neshama of a yid. From that will come out a convert. Not to believe. By the way, every single morning we say, Baruch Ata Hashem, thank you very much. Shelo Asani Goy. But you said it yesterday. Shelo Asani means about the first time that it was created. First time was not yesterday, it was many, many years ago. So once you say it, when you're 13, why are you repeating yourself the following day? The Gaon Mevila says, the understanding of this bracha is, when you go to sleep, you deposit your neshama upstairs. And Baruch Hashem, this morning again, they gave me the right neshama, and there was no mistake upstairs in the accounting department, in the neshama department, and they didn't give me a neshama of someone else. Not necessarily a goy. It's just a friend. I don't want a neshama. I want my original neshama. Baruch Hashem, that even today, you didn't make me a goy by giving me the wrong neshama. That means potentially it can be, just like we see here, the Tosis. To choose Tosis, the malach can make a mistake and give the wrong neshama when a woman is pregnant.
We have the mistake of killing the wrong person.
That he does what to the wrong person? That's one of the proofs that I brought, that Bechira Chofshis. They can add life to somebody. So Lichor it goes in both directions. So it comes out. Most explain the Malachim have Bechira Chofshis. Oh, we forgot another source. The end of Parshas Bereshis. The passage says the Malachim came and they selected for themselves women Mikol Asher Bacharu, that they chose. Bacharu, Bechira. Nice looking women. Toivos. Bacharu means, it indicates Bechira. So how is it possible? We normally view them as programmed robots. They do have Bechira. But imagine, you also have Bechira. Imagine you're davening Mincha on a Monday afternoon, regular, boring Monday. And the Chazon Ish is staring at you. How is your tefillah now? Do you have Bechira? You almost don't have Bechira. Forget about the Chazon Ish. Rambam! Standing right there. He's not davening, he's just looking at you. Oof, how you daven. It took away your normal way of davening, and you almost don't have Bechira. But you have Bechira! You can't exercise it when the Rambam is looking at me. The Malachim, when they come down here, away from the Shekhinah, away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they exercise their Bechira. And we see sometimes they make mistakes and they do something against the Malachim that were supposed to turn over Sodom, said, Ki mashchisim anachnu. We are going to destroy the place. As a result, they were nidcha mimchitzasan, language of the Medrash, for 138 years. They can't go back into the room. Can't go back to where they normally hang out. Why? Mashchisim anachnu? You guys? By the way, if we mention those angels that selected for themselves women, I think we brought in the past, very shaykh to Pashas Vayetze. The passage over there says that they selected for themselves nashim, that indicates more than one. But then the word says toivos, good looking. Toivos spelled missing. Tet, bet, taf. Where is the vav? We would write two vavs. The passage says it only with 0 vavs. Tet, bet, taf. Ktiv chaser. Toivos ashaleman, the Torah. The Rosh, these are Rishonim. They bring a medrash that we don't have. That really there was only one. That's why he says toivos, b'ksiv chaser, missing, because really there's only one. And they wanted to be with her. So the angels say to her, we would like to be with you. So she looks at them, she says, I see you guys have wings. The Bible says, shesh knafayim la'echet, each one has 6 wings. I'd like to have some wings. You know what, I'll be with you if you give me your wings. So they quickly take each one of them their screwdrivers and whatever tools they had, uninstall, and they give her, here are our wings. She says, oh, yes, Shekoyach, thanks so much. She quickly installs their wings, and it flees and escapes the Aveya, goes up to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu is so impressed, and he says, you know what? You're staying here, right here with me. And you are going to be the mazal called Besula. If you ask people, I think outside, what is the mazal called? It smells not so Jewish, right? Mazal, Besula, what is that? One of the mazalos is Besula because the Kodesh Baruch Hu says, you escaped the sin. You are the mazal called Besula, you're staying here because you remained the Besula, and that has to do with the mazal of the month of Elul. The Rosh doesn't bring it, but I think it's clear, because that's the time to escape the Averos. Because of that, these poor angels who lost their wings can't fly back to Hashem. This is Parshas Bereshis. What happens to them? They're stuck all the way to our Parsha, and when the Pasuk says, Malache Elohim Oilim, the angels go up, why are you good? Use your wings. I don't have any. These are the angels that got stuck down here. They don't have wings. Now finally there's an elevator. It's called the ladder of Yaakov, and I can go back home.
Yeah, but if there are only 4 rungs or 7 rungs, there's 3 chapters there. You cannot jump from one to the other.
You have to assume each leg is very, very long, and they only need 4 rungs or 7 rungs. What's the shadow? You saw their height? So we see angels do all kinds of things wrong. Are they punished? We just said 2 examples. 138 years, those angels that came to turn over Sodom, and these angels are punished that they can't go back, and they have to wait till the ladder of Yaakov. That's many parshas from Riddles of Vayetze. They got stuck here down here, hundreds of years.
We know the one that you said we should have mentioned his name was punished.
Who is he? What was he punished? Matat.
Yeah.
With what was he punished?
With flashes of
Sticks of light. Pulse de Noah. How many?
60.
60. Why? Because of what we said. Because he didn't listen. We told you to go get the fiery coals by yourself. You send somebody, you're punished. We have a few more. Or Chaim HaKodesh. I saw in the Medrash, it's the language of the Or Chaim, in Vayera, Perek Yud Ches Pasuk Yud, that the Malach that did not say the good news to Sarah himself was punished. And listen to our language, Or Chaim HaKodesh. Ve'amalachim ye'anshu al hashoigeg ve'al shinui kol shehu. Anytime they deviate just a drop from what they're instructed to do, they will be punished, as well as for unintentional things that they do. Gali Araza says the angel was punished because he was supposed to announce to Avraham, and instead he announced to Sarah. Yoinasan ben Uziel says they were punished, the Malachim that came to Sodom, because they revealed to Lot the plan to destroy Sodom. Eliyahu Navi revealed secrets in this world, Bab Metzia Pei Amud Beis, and he was also punished with 60 Pulsei Denua, 60 sticks of fire. We said Matat, the Malach, was punished, and that is Chagiga Daf Tesav Amud Aleph, and in Yuma Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, Gavriel was punished as well. I'm sorry, Matat wasn't punished for that. Matat and Chagiga was punished because he sat in Shamayim where no one is allowed to sit, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gavriel was punished for the fact that he used a messenger, the kruv, to bring the fiery coals instead of going by himself. Since we're talking about Malachim, Musaf to Rosh Hashanah, we say, Be'ein Melitz Yosher, Mul Magid Pesha. So what do we request HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do? If there's no good advocate on our behalf, Be'ein Melitz Yosher, Mul Magid Pesha, there's a prosecuting agent, the Satan comes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what we request? Tagid le Yaakov, what should you say to Yaakov? Dvar Chok u'mishpat. And then what's going to happen? V'tzadkenu b'mishpat. What does it mean? Moshe Leib Misaso says, we asked the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Tagid le Yaakov, Dvar Chok u'mishpat. Do the judgment up there, just like it is down here. Tagid le Yaakov, Dvar Chok u'mishpat, like we do it down here. And you know what's going to happen if you do? Tzadkenu b'mishpat. We will come out Zakai. Why? There's all kinds of technicalities that if you keep the mishpat against us up there, it doesn't look good, but it doesn't work as if it's against halacha. Why? Kiddushin Chav Gimel Amud Aleph, we learn. Zachin le'adam shelo befanav. You can give a person a zchus, you can give him something even if he's not present. But can you do chavin le'adam when he's not here? You can create a chov for a person, obligation when he's not here? No. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the mishpat is there, we are down here. So you can't do this against us. Pirkei Avos, Al tadin es chavercha, don't judge your friend. Ad shtagia limkoimo, till you reach his shoes, until you reach his place. Malachim Vayetze, they will never be able to reach our shoes. They cannot be dayanim against us. Rambam, Hilchos Sanhedrin, Perek Gimel, Perek Beis Halacha Gimel. You don't appoint to Sanhedrin a person who's very, very old. Now the Saris, all kinds of people. Why? Because they have achzarius, they're cruel. They lost, they don't remember Tsar Gidul Banim. They don't remember what it was. A person who doesn't have kids, or a person who's 120 years old, he doesn't remember what it is, Tsar Gidul Banim. Mimele, he has achzarius, he cannot sit in judgment. If that's the case, Malachim also can't. Because they never will have Tsar Gidul Banim. They don't know what it is. Mimele, they cannot be our Dayanim. Not only can they not be the Dayanim, they also can't be the witnesses. Why? You need, in Sanhedrin Mem Aleph, we need a Eidus she'ata yachol lehazima. Qualified testimony is such that you can, if you have the right people to go and say, oh, you guys are lying. Eidus she'ata yachol lehazima. Can we go and be mazim the witnesses, the angels upstairs? No. So it's a disqualified Eidus. The Satan himself cannot give any testimony. Good few reasons. First of all, he's a malach. You have a beis din down here. A malach comes and wants to give testimony. Will you accept him? Get out of here. It's only for people. How many witnesses do you need to have a kosher edus? 2. Satan is 1. Disqualified. He's machti arabim. He's a rasha. Pasul edus. Not only, what type of machti? He has a din of a meisis umediach. He goes to rebel against the Kodesh Baruch Hu Chalila. Mimele is a rasha mirusha disqualified edus. More than that, choshen mishpat. Simen Yudalet, we learn that the Toveya goes after the Nidba. Reuven sues Shimon. And Reuven says, come to my beis din. And Shimon says, no, we're going to go to the beis din in my place. If they want to sue us, we'll say, fine. Let's come to the beis din down here and we'll exercise midas harachamim. And not only that, we have another din there in Simen Yudalet and Choshen Mishpat. Ze boirer lo echad, veze boirer lo echad. 2 people are arguing, right? So Reuven appoints a dayan for himself, Shimon appoints a dayan, and they both, the 2 dayanim, appoints another one. Did anyone consult with us who we want to be our dayan? The whole din says that Moshe Leib Misasov doesn't work, and that's what we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tagid le Yaakov, dvar chok u'mishpat, do the mishpat upstairs, just like it is by Yaakov here, according to the laws of Torah. And what's going to happen if you do? V'tzadkenu b'mishpat, and then we will be zakai. I'm going to sing to you a song you probably never heard of, but correct me if I do anything wrong here. I'm going to start in the middle. Tisha yemei milah. Tisha yachei leida. Are you with me? Okay, fine. Tisha yachei leida. Shmona yemei milah. Shiva yemei shabta. Shisha imaos. Chamisha chumshei Torah. What's that? Shisha imaos. What kind of agada do you use? I'll tell you who they are. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Bila, Zilpa. Who do you want to take out? Who do you want to take out? Sarah? Rachel, who do you want to take out? What are you saying for? She, Isha, Imaos. Maybe also Sidrei Mishnah, I'm not arguing. But you're taking out the Imaos, the Kedoshas? Anyone argues? How many Imaos are there?
4.
So what would you take out?
Bilha.
What do you have against Bila?
Nothing.
Who's Bila's Shivcha? Rachel. Does she bring you 2 Shivtei Ka? And they are? Dan Naphtali. Zilpa? She belongs to? Leah. From her come out? You have anything against Gad and Asher, Dan and Naphtali? 4 Shivtei Ka? Why are you saying the name else? It could be, I don't know, but it could be that you come from Dan. This is your great-great-grandmother. Get out! You're not part of the Imaos. Why? We all agree they're not Imaos? We all agree, right? We all agree? We all agree. Otherwise you would change the Agada. Medrash Rabbah. Listen to a Medrash. Bamidbar Rabbah. Parsha is based on Yuzayin. The Pasuk says in Parshas Naso, the Nesiim bring korbanos. Vayaviu es korbanam lifnei Hashem 6 eglos tzav. They brought 6 covered wagons. Why 6? Says the Medrash. What do you mean why? 6 keneged imahos ve'eluhen Sarah Rivka Rachelea Bilha and Zilpa. Yes, there are 6 imahos. Not enough? Okay. Esther Rabbah. This is Tanaim. Esther Rabbah Parasha Aleph Ois Yud Beis. The throne of Shlomo HaMelech had 6 steps. Why 6 steps? Keneged 6 imahos ve'eluhen Sarah Rivka Rachelea Bilha and Zilpa. Yes, they are imahos. Vayekra Rabbah. Medrash Parasha Chaf Aleph Ois Yud Aleph on Yom Kippur we are atoned for. You know for what merit? The 6 imahos. Oh, you're asking who they are? We know the list. The pasuk over there says Bad Bevad. Bad, the Matnos Kiuna explains in the Medrash, Bad is 6 in Gematria, Beis and Dalet, 2 and 4, it's 6. That's the 6 imahos that we are atoned for every single Yom Kippur. Targum Yonasan. Unbelievable. Parshas B'Shalach. On the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu were engraved Shloisha Avos and 6 imahos. And you're saying no, there's only 4. Ooh. Bila and Zilpa are upset with you. 6 imahos. Our parsha, Bereishis, Perek Lamed Aleph, our parsha. Psukim Lamed Gimel Lamed Aleph. I'm reading to you some psukim, and I'm going to point out a certain word. Try to pick it up. Vayavo Lavan be'oel Yaakov, uve'oel Leah, uve'oel shtei ha'amahos ve'lo matzah. Vayetze me'oel Leah, vayavo be'oel Rachel, vayemashes Lavan eskol oel ve'lo ma. How many oelim? How many tents?
7.
6. Why 6 tents? Says the Toises Hashalem on this pasuk. 6 ohalim, 6 tents corresponding to the 6 imahos. Because a woman is called an oiled. As it says by Shoftim, but Yael, Minashim ba'oihel tevoirach. 6 tents, 6 imahos. Gevaldik. Little technical problem. Just a little. Brachos, Tezayin Amud Beis. The Gemara says, Ein koirin imahos ela le'arba. You're not allowed to say imahos and anybody else in the world other than Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah. Rabbi said we have a big problem on our hands here. All the Midrashim recorded, it's Midrashim, it's the same level of as if Chashivus. It's a Midrashim, same Tanaim. 6 imahos. And they even tell us who the list is, so we won't make mistake. Rachel and Bila. Bila and Zilpa included. The Gemara says you're not allowed to call anybody but Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah imahos. How does it work? Lichoira, we have to work it. We have to explain it according to the Ritva in Yevamos Mem Vav Amud Aleph, and he explains this issue to call anyone else imahos is in tefillah. You can't say Miriam Imeinu, Yochevet Imeinu. That's reserved Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah. But when you're not in davening, you can say imahos about anybody. According to that, everything works out. All the midrashim that we brought. Similarly, Or Zarua. Or Zarua bring 2 examples. What does it mean? 2 explanations. What does it mean? You're not allowed to. And koyin imahos ela leah. But the first one he says it's similar. Only in tefillah. In other words, you can't daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for the schus of Miriam, for the schus of Yocheved, save us. You can't do that. You want to use the schus of Ima, that's only 4. Or, you don't praise a woman when you eulogize her. Televaya. You say, oh, this was a great woman. She is from the descendants of Yocheved. Can't do that. Says the Zohar, she's from the descendants of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. But otherwise, to call a woman one of the Imaos, you're allowed to. But the Rashba argues with these two. And the Rashba says, no, you can never call any woman one of the Imaos. And according to that, we still don't have a problem, Tzarich Iyun, with all the Midrashim that we brought, that clearly the Tanaim do use Imahos for Bila and for Zilpa. But what's the reason that Bila and Zilpa are not called Imaos? We all know there are only 4. So Maran Reb Chaim Kodiansky says, because corresponding to their owners, Rachel and Leah, they are secondary to them. They are battle to them. Even though Targum Yonasan and Bereshis does bring that Leah and Rachel actually released their concubines, their shvachos, and yet the Torah calls them shvachos to show that they're not as important as Rachel and Leah. By the way, Bila and Zilpa, where are they buried? Where are they buried? Do you ever go to the kever of Bila and Zilpa? What's that? Some say in Tveria. Can it be in Kiryas in Hebron? You would think that it's not, you would think. Why? Because it's called Kiryat Arba, because of Arba, 4 couples. Adam Arishon and his wife. Avram Avinu and his wife. Yitzchak Avinu and his wife. Yaakov Avinu and Leah. There's no more room. 4 couples. Comes Reb Chaim Vital, Etz Hada'as Tov, and says, I want to tell you something. Bila and Zilpa are buried in Maras HaMachpelah as well. Psh, Achidish. Maybe, what this means, when it says only 4 couples, that means when they are buried, initially, only 4. But it doesn't mean that later on, somebody will not be brought from somewhere else after they already were buried in somewhere else. Or, like we spoke about, Tzipora and Moshe, who are also buried there, maybe there's some kind of a tunnel connecting from wherever they are buried to Maras HaMachpelah, and with that, it's considered as if they are buried in Maras HaMachpelah. It seems from Rashi in Bereshis Lamed Zayin Yud that Bila went down to Mitzrayim with Yaakov. The Ramban writes in his Sefer Emunah Bitachon Perek Chavav that when Yaakov Avinu went to Mitzrayim, Bila and Zilpa went down with him. So you have to assume that they died and were buried there, because we don't have a source saying that they were brought to Eretz Yisrael. However, there are some who point to a place in Tveria suggesting this is the burial place of Bila and Zilpa. Maybe they were buried in Mitzrayim, and then they did take with them their bones and bury him. Or maybe they just after their demise, somebody was sent up there to Tveria to bury them. I don't know. Rabbi says, let's talk a little about tzedakah, money.
One question. I know some tefillahs, I know for Sfardim, we do say and then we speak about the Nevi'ot. Right? Maybe the difference is you can't say Imeinu Dafka, not that you can't do tefillah. Because we are praising them.
Listen to the language of the Gemara Brachos Tezayin Amud Beis. En koirin imahos ela le'arba.
That's it, tefillah.
Tefillah, if you ask the Ritva, if you ask the Ozarua, the Rashba says no. You can never use ima, even lekavod be'alma. Not for tefillah. You can't. We have Rishonim who are arguing here.
So I'm saying you can use them in tefillah, but without the prefix Imeinu.
Yeah, of course. En koirin imahos, you can't use Yocheved Imeinu, you can't do that. Bila Imeinu, you can't do that in Tefillah. That everybody would agree. The Rashba would also agree, because the Rashba says you could never use this terminology. V'echol asher titen li, says Yaakov Avinu, aser ha'asrenu lach, I'll give my son. The Gemara in Ksubis Daf Nun says, Be'usha tiknu, Chazal made a takana in the place called Usha, ha'mevazbez, al yevazbez, yoiser michomesh. When you give tzedakah and you give for a mitzvah, you cannot spend more than 20%. Yoiser michomesh, don't give. Why not? Why not? Dafka in this mitzvah called tzedakah, you should be able to give much more. That's what Rashi explains this takana. But it shouldn't work for tzedakah. It should work for all other mitzvahs, not for tzedakah. Why? Yoredei Simin Reish Mem Zayin, Shulchan Aruch, in Seif Beis, quotes the Rambam. And he says, Le'oilam, Ein Adam ma'ani min hatzedakah. No one will ever become poor from giving tzedakah. Velo dvar ra, velo hezek nisgalgel al yada. No harm will come to you if you give tzedakah. So what's the problem? Why is it? Because the Pasuk says, V'haya ma'aseh tzedakah shalom. Tzedakah only brings peace and harmony and great things. In fact, you can become rich if you give tzedakah. So you're going to become poor because giving too much tzedakah? How does that work? No, you can become poor. You can't become poor with tzedakah. From other mitzvahs, yeah. You buy an esok, the esok that's worth half of your house, that you shouldn't do. But tzedakah is going to give you money. So you're not going to become poor. So why not spend more than 20%? A few reasons. Or Achaim HaKodesh has a sefer called Rishon LeZion An Yoredea, and he explains, based on Tanis Daf Tes Amud Aleph, we're talking about a case when the anim would like to have some more money, but it's not like they're starving to death. So when you're not obligated and you give more than the 20%, you can become poor. You don't have this promise that you will become rich from tzedakah. When you are obligated, in fact, you can't give. If the ani comes and he's starving to death, literally, and you say, sorry, I already gave my 20% obligation, come next month. He's not going to be around next month. Of course you can give more. But when you're not obligated and you give more, you don't have this promise. And therefore you can become poor. And that's why only give up to 20%. The Buchacher, the Bavam Buchach, in Birkas Avram in his Sefer, in page Kuf Samechet, he explains differently. A person will not be lacking anything of tzedakah when he gives it l'shem shamayim. When he wakes up to do it because of, he decided, not because he was propelled by others. Even if afterwards he will give it l'shem shamayim. Do you know really why you give tzedakah? Do you want your name to be on the plaque? Do you want the gabbai to mention your name? Do you want your wife to know you? Is it really 100% l'shem shamayim? Do you know? What you're doing is mamash 100% l'shem shamayim? Not so sure. You don't have that promise. Only if you know you did it 100% l'shem shamayim. Who can testify about himself? All I do is l'shem shamayim.
Not the Rambam.
The Rambam apparently is talking, according to him, when you do it l'shem shamayim. Then no, when you do things l'shem shamayim, you're not going to be harmed. The pasuk in Malachi says, "Uvachanuni na bazois im lo eftach lachem esaru b'os hashamayim." Test me. It's the only mitzvah that you can. First of all, some say this test and this mitzvah is only about what grows in your field, because this mitzvah is aser te'aser es. It's called what? Tuvah has nothing to do with your money that you make in the stock market. We have a three-way machlokes about meiser today. Is it deoraisa? Meiser ksafim, money. Is it deoraisa? Is it derabanon? Is it a minhag tov be'alma? Lemeiser we paskin, it's minhag tov be'alma. Who says the avtacha of bachanuni na bazois goes on a minhag tov? Maybe only on a deoraisa level. Different opinions on that. It's good to know that the God Mivila says that this avtacha, you're going to become rich. Ubachanuni na bazois only applies when a person gives 20% and not 10%. 10% is called ayin beinonis in the eyes of Chazal. 20% is ayin toiva, and has to be an isu after isu. Aser te'aser gives 10% and then give another 10% and exact. Then you have a avtacha says the Goy Mivina, you're going to become rich. And by the way, when will you become rich? It doesn't say when. Doesn't say when. It could be 3 seconds later. It could be 30 years later. And do you think HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to give a person tremendous wealth when he gives 20% every single time, and he's a serial killer? He violates Shabbos. Remember what type of violation? He drives on a Yom Kippur that falls on Shabbos, eating shrimp. He's driving to the beach. But I give 20% to tzedakah. I got to become rich. Not so sure about that. When everything is okay, so there's an extra bonus, you're going to become rich. But Kosh Baruch Hu doesn't work for us. We work for him. So not sure. And by the way, who says what type of a wealth? Ezehu Ashir? Asamech bechelko. Maybe finally he's going to be happy with what he has. In Yoredei Reis Samechei, the Rema says, one who's a sandak is going to become rich. Somebody once came to the stipend, says, Rebbe, we know about your overdraft in the bank. It's pretty big and it's getting bigger. Where's the avtacha of the Rema? You're a sandak not once a year. A sandak multiple times a day. I saw by Reb Chaim Kanievsky, sometimes he was 10 brisos back to back, 10. They're very efficient there. They only call him when everything is ready. He comes in, about 2.5 minutes a bris. Next. 10 brises, 15 minutes, he's out of there. Where's the money? The Rema promises you a big check. Where's the money? Stapler says, I'm very rich. He says, what do you mean? Come. He takes him into the inner chamber and he shows him on the shelf all the Kehilos Yaakov that he authored. He says, that's my wealth. I don't need anything else. What is all the wealth, the physical wealth that we consider wealth, going to do for me? When I leave the world, am I going to take it with me? But the Kehilos Yaakov I'm taking with me. So it depends. To each his own. It could be a more simple understanding. The promise that tzedakah will never make you go poor is if you listen to the instructions of the same Chazal who tell you, by the way, don't ever give more than 20%. Or, and some less. You're right. There's a haftacha from Chazal. You're never going to be harmed from giving tzedakah. But you can't act in a way which is above teva. And some you can't rely on a nest. And if you give too much money, you're going to be missing some money and you can become poor. You mean a person must go according to the Gedarim, the instructions, the directives of Chazal, and then everything works out. So after all this, tell you a Maise. You all know this Maise. Hillel Lazakya, Yom Adaf Lamedei. The Gemara says, when one goes upstairs after 120 at least, they asked him, how come you didn't sit and learn? Why didn't you learn? He said, what do you mean? You know my financial situation. I was so poor, I couldn't. So they tell him, were you poorer than Hillel Lazakin? Do you know Hillel was so poor? He worked and he only earned $1 a day. And half of that dollar he gave to the guard at the entrance of the Beis Medrash because he wanted to sit and learn Divrei Torah. Were you poorer than him? Did you only earn $1 a day? You go to Shachris in any shul, you'll get more than $1. And the guy doesn't have what to answer. Who gave Hillel permission to give more than 20%? He gave half of what he earned. He earned $1, he gave 50 cents. He gave more than 20%, much more. He gave 50% every single day of his earnings. Who gave him permission? Up to 20%. The Rema says, you're only allowed to spend 20% for a mitzvah. Who gave Hillel permission to spend 50%? Did he get permission?
There's also heat in the Beis Medrash.
What's that?
There's also, he's nana from going in the Beis Medrash. It's warm, there's heat there. There's a coffee room.
Go to the subway station, you know. How did it over there?
He went in, he paid, but he got to get into the place. He had a seat.
So he's saying you didn't go to learn Torah.
He did.
He did. He was very comfortable. He probably also had coffee. You think it was heated there? Torah shelamodati be'af niskayim ali. Language of the Medrash. Torah mitoch adchak. I don't think it was heated there. Let's say it was heated. You think Hillel cares about the heat. The proof is from that Maaseh that Hillel goes when? In the middle of Tkufa Tevis, the Gemara says, in the coldest day of the year, and he sits on the roof from the outside, and it starts snowing, and he almost dies. He doesn't care about heat, he cares about Divrei Torah. Why did he go there? Lishmoa Divrei Elokim Chaim, the language of the Gemara. He wanted to hear Shmaya and Avtalion. Divrei Elokim Chaim. He only cares about Torah. He's spending the money for the mitzvah. You have to assume there are other places that you can go, shelters for people like him, that you can spend 2 cents and they allow you in because that's what the city does. So you don't have to spend 50% of your earnings to go into a heated place. He went to do it to learn Torah. He did it for a mitzvah. Who gave him permission? Says the Avas Chesed, the Chavetz Chaim, Perek Chaf. In all other mitzvahs, you're not allowed to spend more than 20%, not Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah, you're allowed to. He brings many, many proofs to that. And this Yisod is already in the Rishonim. Shita Mekubetz, it's over there in Ksuba. In Ksuba's Daf Nun, the source of this takana, not to spend more than 20%. He brings the Medrash that Rabbi Tarfon gave Rabbi Akiva Shis Mea Kanterin de Kesef, a ton of money. And he says, you see, from here, you're allowed to spend more money for Talmud Torah. The Chida writes the same thing in Midbar Kademos. Why is Talmud Torah different than all other mitzvahs? All other mitzvahs, up to 20%. Don't do more. Talmud Torah is different. Why? A few reasons. The whole reason we said is maybe you're going to become poor if you spend for a mitzvah more than 20%. You yourself are going to become poor. You're going to go walking around. Torah? Torah, you're going to become poor from spending on Torah? Avoid the Zohar Daf Yutes. Kol ha'oisek b'Torah nechasav matzlichin loy. You're going to become rich. Bismoila oisher v'chavod. You learn Torah, you become rich. So there's no chashash, you can become poor from learning Torah. Yekara mipaz v'chol chafatzecha lo yishvu ba. It's more valuable than precious stones. Mimele says the Shalosh Tshuvos Divrei Malkir, Talmud Torah is different than all the mitzvahs. You don't have the chashash, you're going to become poor, and you can spend more than 20%. More than that, says the Avas Chesed, again, the Chafetz Chaim in Chelek Beis, Perek Chaf, by spending for Torah, you get the reward for every single minute that they're sitting and learn. Either you're sitting and learn or somebody else. Mimele for Achzakas Torah, you're allowed more than 20% because the reward for Torah corresponds to everything. More than that, when you're learning Torah, you're going to find out how to be careful not to transgress a negative mitzvah. Lo yisaseh. And for lo yisaseh, how much money do you have to spend? Everything. For a positive mitzvah, up to 20%. For lo yisaseh, you have to be willing to spend kol meodecha, everything you own. By learning Torah, you'll know exactly how to do that. B'mele, you're allowed to spend more than 20%. More than that, the Gaon Mevina, in the beginning of Maseches Peah says, for every single word you say, Amar, Abaye, that's already 2 words. 2 mitzvahs of Talmud Torah. It's an ongoing mitzvah. Every single second. So I'm not spending money on a Talmud Torah. On many Talmuds Torahs. Every single word is another mitzvah. Every single minute I'm nullifying an aseh if I'm not doing it. And it's similar to the mezuzah. Mezuzah, every single minute, if you don't have a mezuzah on your doorpost, you're nullifying a mitzvah's aseh, and you're allowed to spend more than a chomish, more than 20%. Talmud Torah would be the same. Or, differently, we see in this ma'aseh, we just said, Hillel was willing to be Moiseh Nefesh. Moiseh Nefesh mamish. He went up there, he was buried by the snow, mamish, he almost died. The pasuk says, Kol asher le'ish yiten be'ad nafshoy. You see that? For Hillel, that's everything. For Hillel, without Torah, it's a pikuach nefesh. So he didn't give it for Talmud Torah. He gave it for himself, a pikuach nefesh. Without it, he can't live. So far, of course, in a case like that, your name is Hillel, you can spend more than 20%. Or in a different way, the Biur Halacha in Taf Reish Nun Vav, the source of our problem, that you can't give more than 20% to a mitzvah. He says, wait a second, if this is true, how come in Kiddushin Chavtes Amud Beis we learn, for Pidyon Haben, if all you have is 5 slaim, you are allowed to give it. Why? It's much more than 20% of what you have. You only have 5 slaim and you're allowed to give it. Explains the Biur Halacha. To give for a mitzvah you can't more than 20%. But to give for a mitzvah that the real value is a certain amount and that happens to be more than 20% of what you have, you're allowed to. In other words, Pidyon Haben is valued at 5 slaim. It's not that I want to spend a lot of money for it. That's the going rate. It's 5 slaim. That's the value. Mimele, if they took from every person coming into the best medrash that same $50, so Hillel is not spending too much. He is spending exactly the value of the mitzvah. In that case, you would be able to spend more than 20%. Psochim Mem Tes Amud Aleph. Chazal say, Le'olam, a person should sell everything he owns in order to marry a daughter of a Talmid Chochem. Whoa, we just said that doesn't work. Forget about Talmud Torah. You have a new mitzvah now that Chazal tell us you can spend more than 20%. Le'olam, sell everything. Sell your shoes. Sell your shoes, Chazal say, in order to be able to marry a daughter of a Talmid Chochem. Why? It's more than 20%. A few reasons. If you're not going to marry a daughter of Talmid Chochem, she's going to be an Amaretz. She's going to be a daughter of Amaretz. As such, she may cause her husband to stumble every day, all day long, on negative commandments. And we said for negative commandments, you have to spend everything you own. So it's a technical thing. We made it, just like we said before, the Talmud Torah, you'd be able to spend more than 20%. In a constant mitzvah tmidis, one is able to spend more than 20%. The Rambam writes that since marrying a Talmid Chochem, daughter of Talmid Chochem, is considered the mitzvah of uvot tidbak, cling to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so in a mitzvah tmidis, an ongoing constant mitzvah, you'll be able to spend more than 20%. Some say, what Chazal say, always sell everything you own and marry a daughter of Talmid Chochem, it's not an instruction. They're telling you how valuable a daughter of a Talmid Chochem is, how you should appreciate her. Not that lemaisa you really have to sell everything and start walking barefoot in the streets in order to acquire her. Or, based on what the Taz says, the Taz in Even Ezer, Simon Beis, he explains what the Gemara says, the reverse, the same Gemara in Psochim Mem Tes over there, Mud Beis says, don't marry a daughter of an Amaretz. And the Gemara goes to town on this. The Gemara says, one who is with their daughters is called cursed. Arur shoichev im kol behema. They're called behemoths. Why? Because Rashi explains they don't have a leiv lehavin. They don't understand Ki hu chayecha ve'orechemecha, the value of Torah. The Taz explains, the nature of Nashim is that they want to nullify their husbands from learning Torah. Because they say, if they will be in business, we'll have Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. And they're not aware that that's not going to happen. They're only going to have Olam Hazeh and they're not going to have Olam Haba. If that's the case, since we said before for Talmud Torah that she wants to nullify you from, for Talmud Torah you're allowed to spend more than 20%. So marrying a daughter of a Talmid Chochem propels you to actually to sit and learn. So again, it becomes a part of Talmud Torah, and therefore you'll be able to spend more than 20%. Aboisai, last thing, I'm giving you dessert now. I give all the new Segula I found to become wealthy. We spoke about money. Now let's see how we obtain this money. It has to do with, Imit Hashem, tonight, later on tonight. How do you cut the challah tonight? What's the sequence, the order of events? You cut, who do you give first? Who do you give second? The size? Anybody? How do you do it?
First yourself.
The burnt part.
I can't hear you.
The most burnt.
The most burnt part you do what with?
That's where you cut.
That's what you cut. And then what do you do with it?
Eat some.
Eat, enjoy. Anybody else?
First
First you!
First, please give it to your wife.
First you give to your wife. What about when your rabbi is there or your father?
First, your wife.
Your wife! How much should you give her?
Not
A bigger piece than you?
Bigger than you.
Why is that?
Not the end piece.
If she likes it? If she likes the end piece? No, I'm not going to give you the end piece! Shulchan Aruch HaChaim, Siman Reish Ayin Daled, tremble, rad, tremble, is where we find these halachos, different opinions, and the poskim brought there many different opinions. How much, to whom first? Great. Comes the Pri Etz Chaim. Who's the Pri Etz Chaim? Pri Etz Chaim. Reb Chaim Vital, based on the Arizal, Al Pisod. He says, when you cut for yourself a kazais. Then cut for your wife a kabeitza. Double that. Give her first. Eat and then give her first. She gets right after you, and she gets more than you. The Piskei Teshuvos over there explains why. Chazal say in the Dorim, in Yevamos, Samech Beis Amud Beis, one must love his wife as he loves himself, but he must honor her more so than he honors himself. You buy for yourself a nice suit, buy for her a nicer looking garment. So if I'm giving myself a kazait, I have to honor her body, more than when I honor myself. So I'm giving her double, I'm giving her kabeitza. What did you gain? If you respect and honor your wives, says the Gemara, you will become rich. Anyways, you have to cut the challah. Anyways, you're going to give her. So listen to Reb Chaim Vital. Give yourself a kazait, give her more, give her a kabeitza. You honored her. If you honor your wife, you're going to become rich, and Imitz Hashem, Yehiratzon, that it should be fulfilled by all of us. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.